All right, guys. Well, I'll keep this short. I know I try to keep these around 15 minutes, but we have just a couple of slides here. Anyway, the Manhattan Project we mentioned was the plan to develop the atomic bomb. Oppenheimer was the scientist behind it. There were other scientists involved that are famous too, um, and it was extremely secret, as we said. Truman didn't even know about it, and it was tested in July 1945. Okay, so that's important because that's a month before or so before the end of the war. Once in July they realized it could work, then it became a weapon that they could choose from. Now Truman was in an extremely difficult situation. Um, Look, we know from what we've seen, the war movie that we saw, Unbroken, the way the Japanese treated the POWs, came a little bit from the Japanese sort of cultural approach to surrender as being something that they would rather die than surrender. So this strong attitude against surrendering, even though it was clear that the Japanese had no hope that they could reinvigorate the war and push the Americans and the British back, and it was over. But they were unwilling to surrender. They'd rather, from their honor, they'd rather die than surrender. Um, so you can see this in the use of kamikaze pilots. Kamikaze pilots were these pilots who would take their planes and use them as the bomb and fly them right into like battleships, destroy an entire battleship while not using any bomb or anything, just flying right into it. But of course, it was a suicide bomb. Um, and so then we had, the POW camps that we talked about. And the advisors told Truman that if he launched an invasion, that the Allied forces, the U.S. losses would number in the 500,000 to 1,000,000 range. Now, that's not to justify what he did. That's to explain why he made the decision he made. It's still probably one of the worst decisions that an American has had to make. Uh, you'll find many people who believe that it was the right thing to do, and many people who believe that it was entirely the wrong thing to do. Um, what we do know is that there was a devastating loss of civilian life on, in these cities. So as we go through the last two screens here, just sort of mention um, he threatened Japan. He did say, look, surrender. We have this bomb. We've tested it. We will use it. Um, and the Japanese didn't respond to the warning. So on August 6th, on a plane called the Enola Gay, um, a number of soldiers went and dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima. Hiroshima was about 350,000 people in population, and I'll mention St. Louis and Pittsburgh in a minute, but and they dropped the bomb, and within minutes, between 70 and 80,000 people died. By the end of the year, that doubled. Um, so with the radiation sickness and that kind of thing, many other people suffered and died, and by December, that number was probably closer to 140, 150,000. Still, though, Japan really gave no response. And this is questionable. Did Truman need to only wait 3 days? Should he have waited longer? That's another one of those issues. But he didn't. And on August 9th, Nagasaki was bombed. Hiroshima was about 350,000 people. Nagasaki was about 270,000 people. St. Louis and Pittsburgh are both right around 300,000 people right now. So basically, it would be like someone dropping a bomb on St. Louis and Pittsburgh in terms of the number of people affected, would have been about the same. Just to give you a sense of what we're talking about. Anyway, each bombing left immediately 70,000 plus dead. And again, there were many, many more deaths after that. Finally, then, on September 2nd, Japan did respond after that one back in August. But the actual surrender happened on the USS Missouri, a ship in the Tokyo Bay, and General Douglas MacArthur, another famous general who would come back during the Korean War. But General MacArthur is the one who accepted the surrender on the USS Missouri. All right, so that's the end. I just wanted to show you some quick pictures of the kind of devastation we're talking about. And we have blocks and blocks of just utter devastation up here. This is the famous mushroom cloud that an atomic bomb sort of emits. So it's a funnel up, and then there's a mushroom at the top. You see here just a street just entirely leveled of anything. And then this is a sort of a famous picture as well. All right, that's it. Sorry I kept this a little bit longer than the other ones, but I wanted to make sure to get everything in. All right, I'll see you guys later.